Okay, good morning, everyone. So let me introduce ourselves first. My name is Mohamed, and with me Amr ElSelimy and Kareem Magdy, and we are presenting you a partial automation of customer satisfaction measurement, called Eagle Eye. So we will start with our project demo.
Hello, prospective clients, and welcome to Eagle Eye. This is a quick demo illustrating how Eagle Eye works and how to use it. As you land on our main website, you will find all the information about us and our packages. You can also reach us anytime from the contact form above. Anyways, let's just head to the portal and see how everything works. If Eagle Eye is running on your corporate network, then you will be allowed access to the assigned employee ID and password. Based on your hierarchy, whether you are a manager, supervisor, customer service agent, or even an intern, and based on the purchase package, certain features will be available for you to use. For this demo, we have enabled all the features from a demo manager account. On your landing page, you can see your employees currently online, running meetings, your best performance employees, as well as the results of your recent meetings. If you head over to your own workspace, My Eagle Eye, you can find all your previous meetings, access any meeting you want, view the meeting statistics, and the meeting details, the service the customer was requesting, the customer name, the branch which happened, and the start and end time of your meeting, as well as the automated measured customer satisfaction level. We will come to that later. You can also view all the recorded instances during the meeting. An instance in Eagle Eye is basically when you had a strong emotional effect on your customer, whether it's a negative instance or a positive instance. So you can learn always learn from your mistakes or repeat what you did in order to bring the customer a positive instance. You can also view the whole meeting from down below, and you can access and view each instance on its own. You can also access only your positive instances, or view your negative instance, or even start a new meeting. We will come to that later. In your library, you will find certain instances that were assigned by the manager for everyone to see. They are basically a very strong instances in terms of teaching, and that's why managers decide that all employees must see it in order to learn from. If you are a manager, then you can manage your existing employees, or you can even add new ones. Each employee can be assigned an access level, whether they are an employee, an intern, or a manager or a supervisor based on your system settings, the branch they are working on, the counter they are standing on, and the department, and you can choose for them a password, which they can of course change later on. The same happens for your customers. You can always manage your existing customers, and you can blacklist them. Blacklisted customers basically triggers an alarm as soon as they enter the ticketing terminal, which we will discuss later on, so the manager can know that they have arrived. Basically, customer becomes blacklisted if they caused so many troubles. For example, they have caused so many negative instances during multiple meetings, and this is why they were blacklisted, or they were blacklisted manually by the manager or the responsible employee. You can at any time block or unblock a customer. Also, from your account settings, you can anytime change your password. If you are a manager, you can change all the information about your employees or customers. Okay, so what actually happens during the meeting? How Eagle Eye collects such customer satisfaction measurement, and how every part of our system works together. So as soon as the customer arrives to your customer service area, they will be facing the ticketing terminal. As soon as they press Get Ticket Now, they will be asked to face the camera. So we can get a photo shoot of them for face detection to recognize that customer. As soon as they press detect me, it will load for a few seconds. And if the customer was found in EagleEye's database, they will be given a counter number. For example, here is counter 4. The counter number is calculated based on which employee this customer had the least negative instances with, and whether this employee is in the branch online and have a low queue. If the customer is not registered in our system in terms of their facial recognition, they will be asked for entering their mobile number to double check that they are new customers or that they are not registered on our system. If they are not registered, then they will be routed to the employee with which is online and which has the lowest queue. As soon as they arrive to the counter, the employee may now start the meeting. Simply from our portal, the employee will click My EagleEye and then will click Start New Meeting. As soon as the meeting finishes, they will be acknowledged that the meeting was successful and it was saved to our system. During this time, our EagleEye was capturing 10 seconds intervals of the meeting. And for each 10 seconds, EagleEye was analyzing the emotions of the customer in order to recognize any emotional shifts that occurred. And through monitoring the overall progression of the customer's emotions, we can realize the customer satisfaction measurement that we will discuss later on this presentation. From the alarm listener of the manager, which can be accessed from the above button, the manager can be notified of any alarms. In this case, we have no currently active alarms, but let me go raise an alarm quick, fast, and come back to you. So now I have raised an alarm on meeting 1, and as you can see, the manager is immediately notified of the alarm. Such notifications, how it happens, during the meeting, if a strong emotional effect happened on the customer, if he got suddenly impulsive or began to shout and so on, if a very strong emotional negative effect happened on the customer, the manager should be immediately notified in order to go handle that case himself. So I hope that video explained how EagleEye works. Thank you very much for watching.
Now that the video has ended, like, I hope you become an actual customer. But okay. Okay, so moving on. First, we'll go over our idea and features, and then our system design, our business model, achievements, and future plans. For our ideas and features. So our motivation basically was that normally whenever it comes to customer satisfaction, people tend to try and take your input, whether it's by taking surveys or social media or reviews. So we decided to automate this process, as people tend to exaggerate both the negatives and the positives whenever it comes to customer satisfaction. So our main objective, as I said, was to automate this process, as well as provide different features to make it easier. These functionalities are automation of customer satisfaction, employee performance measurement, alarm when needed, incident follow-ups, customer blacklist, customer employee linkage, service enhancement, employee training programs, as you have seen in our demo.
Okay, so now we will have a quick overview of the system design. Whenever our customers entering the work area of the service provider, the first thing is that they face a ticketing terminal, which takes a photo shoot of the customer and then send this photo shoot to a face recognition module, which compares the face geometry acquired from the customer from the multiple of face geometries in our back end. And then if the customer was recognized as an existing customer, what happens is that such customer is routed to a counter or to a service provider employee, which they had previously the least amount of narrative instances, and in the same time, this employee is online in the same branch and have the minimum queue. If the customer was not detected by our face recognition module, what happens is the customer enters their mobile number, and then following that, this is a double check that the customer is not an existing customer. If it's a completely new customer, then we route the customer to a counter or to an employee which is available at the branch and has the lowest queue and has a relatively high satisfaction rate. As soon as the meeting starts, our data flow during what happens exactly in our modules during the meeting is illustrated above. So it all begins with the ticketing terminal, which starts sending the photo of the customer to our ticketing module, which sends it to the face detection module, which recognizes the customer by comparing the customer with a multiple of face geometries at our back end. If the customer was recognized, then the customer ID is returned to the ticketing module, which is then passed on our back end in order to know exactly how to route the customer, to see its previous meetings and instances, and know exactly how to route. Once a meeting is initiated, now comes the role of the controller module, which then, as soon as the meeting starts, there is a face capture module that starts immediately with the meeting, and it starts taking each 10 seconds of the whole video or the whole meeting. What happens in this module basically is it cuts the video into 10-second separate frames, and then such mini videos are taken by the controller modules and passed to the emotional illustration API we are currently using, and the results are passed around to the instance module, which analyzes these 10 seconds mini video of the whole video and starts to notice if any rough shifts happen to the customer in terms of the customer's emotions. If any rough shifts happen to the customer, if we're talking about a narrative shift, what happens is basically an alarm is triggered and the manager is immediately notified that such employee or counter needs help from him. And as soon as the meeting is concluded, the data is aggregated and passed to our final module, which is the meeting module, which then checks the overall progressment of each of the emotions vector of the customers throughout the whole meeting. So by this, and as you saw in the video we just played, we have successfully accomplished the automation of the satisfaction rating. Eagle Eye also offers an employee performance measurement by calculating the average rating for each employee, and the manager has access to all the meetings that were done by that employee. Also, the manager is alarmed, so we prevented multiple of bad instances that happen in any face-to-face interaction, as we know here. Also, we made it easier for service providers for incident follow-ups, because they exactly know what happened and why it happened, and they exactly know who to call and who not to call. We also introduced the concept of the customer blacklist, which may prevent multiple issues that can happen in the work area. Also, customer-employee linkage, because we wanted to guarantee that any face-to-face interaction would measure a high satisfaction rate by the customer. And we also offered service enhancements, since the business exactly knows at what instance of their service happens a rough shift in the customer's emotions, as well as an employee training programs, as we illustrated in the videos. When it comes to the library, a manager can share some of these instances and some of the situations with the interns or the people in the training program in order to learn more how to deal with customers and so on. Okay, so now I will leave you with my colleague Kareem to explain how our algorithm works.
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to be talking about emotional weights and how we basically like evaluate the emotions of our customers and service providers. So first of all, we're going to be talking about emotional weights and then about time-stamped weights. But first, we'll talk about emotional weights. So the very first thing is that not all emotions are weighed the same. So our emotion elicitation API basically outputs a file of just raw numbers of different sorts of facial features on the face that is captured, and basically we have a method of converting these raw numbers into a number that we can actually deal with. So this is done by clustering, which to be clear is our internal way of naming our algorithm and is not the machine learning algorithm of clustering. So how this works is that basically we have some weights, we have some emotions that are classified as positive and some that are classified as negative. And basically all positive emotions have are multiplied by 1, while all negative emotions are multiplied by -1, each with its corresponding weight. So for example, happiness will not have the same weight as something such as the lip depressor. So basically after we concatenate all these weights, we have a final sum, which we can then cluster into either 0, 1, or -1. And this is from the output of the emotional elicitation API. And after this, we go to the timestamp weights, which basically means that as time goes on, the emotions of the customer are more important, since if the customer is already going into the meeting being angry, this is not the fault of the service provider. So basically, we have made a way of ensuring that that higher weights go to the end of the meeting, and this is basically done by having 1 over n minus I inside a for loop, which basically gives us the weight of any given frame inside the meeting, and these values are then calculated as into different thresholds, which are the sum of the series multiplied by 0.4. So to continue the presentation, here's my colleague Amr ElSelimy.
Okay, so over the past couple of weeks, and to be specific, in the end of the previous semester, we were we're wrapping up. We were working on reaching our clients as much as we can. That's why we launched social media pages, and we launched our own website, so people can book EDLI from now. We'll share the link later on. And also, we've been contacted multiple of retailers. At this moment, we do not want to mass distribute our program, because basically it's still it's completed, but we still want to undergo more and more tests in order to increase our accuracy. And that's why we've been contacting small retailers, and some of them has agreed to use our system, and through them we can collect and aggregate more data that can fit actually into a learning model, and that would be the first data set available, at least as we found, that will be involving customer satisfaction in a face-to-face interaction. So this is our social media exposure, and this is our website that we shared with you earlier. Okay, so as we told earlier, we have been reaching the prospective clients, but we cannot go really big right now. And now, as for the achievements, I will leave you with my colleague, Kareem.
So throughout this year, we have learned a lot and gained a lot of experience as a result of this project. We have also been able to meet many incredible contacts and connections that will last a lifetime and will no doubt be a great addition to not only our professional but also our personal lives. We have also taken and faced many great challenges throughout this past year. However, we have been able to overcome most of them with the assistance of the mentioned connections and contacts, and of course our university professors. And as for our future plans, our main focus right now is to try and gather a data set in order to be able to have more data, and with this we can do so much more, such as apply machine learning models. We can even have better testing on our current models, and of course the aim of all of this is to improve the accuracy of our customer satisfaction measurements. And finally, in the further future, we aim to take this further and go beyond to develop the idea further. So maybe it would work beyond just face-to-face interactions, and maybe it would work with other mediums such as Zoom meetings, maybe even phone calls and things of the like. So this was a brief of Eagle Eye, and thank you for listening.